Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
How we doing, folks? We're back. Hey, the website's InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Check it out for, all kinds of information. And then, of course, to connect with all of us, the partners in business of the radio show. And plus, there's just lots of good news on there. But, hey, guess what? Now it is time for Mortgage Talk. We got Terri Wagner here from Supreme Lending Rockwall. Her website, TerriWagner.com. TerriWagner.com. How we doing, Miss Terri?
I'm good. It's cold outside. Not as cold as it was yesterday, but
true.
Yeah,
a little bit better. Yeah,
better.
I had my Cowboys hat on this morning, and didn't really need it.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad. Not
right.
too bad. A little bit
right.
better than it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we haven't seen the sun in a few weeks, but
yeah. Be nice to see the sun.
It would be nice to see the sun. I need to see it. So what's going on in the mortgage world?
Well, I thought that I would bring to light, we've talked about this before, but it's always important to talk about it again, is when you go to purchase a home and your mortgage loan officer sends you their needs list. What documentation do I need from you, the buyer, in order to have your file ready? And it is so important for you, the buyer, to get this documentation to your loan officer sooner rather than later, because we can discover things that could either slow us down or eliminate you altogether from purchasing.
Right.
So it's always better to get that documentation, over to your loan officer as soon as possible. So I just kind of wanted to go over some of the documents that you may need, some generic, every situation, we've talked about this before too. Every situation's a little bit different. Everyone's loan is a little different. Just because, your buddy at work didn't have to provide this, or this doesn't mean you won't. Every situation's a little different.
Right. Absolutely.
So just wanted to go over some key items that I know that you'll need so that you can have those ready. And when you call in and give me a call and we do an application, you can send them right in because I need them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And might as well get to it, as soon as possible.
Right. First thing that we need to do is we need to identify who you are. So I need your driver's license and your Social Security card. We want to make sure that someone else isn't pretending to be you. So we have to verify who you are.
Are you real?
Yes, really. Excuse me.
Real live person.
And then we're going to need to take a look at your credit. We've talked about credit lots, but we're going to look at anything involved around your credit. Are there things on your credit report, bankruptcies, judgments, tax liens, any of those? So we'll need to see all those documentations. If you have a bankruptcy, we need to see the bankruptcy paperwork, full, not just the discharge paper, but the full filing.
Right.
So that we can look at what was filed and make sure there was no mortgage. And if there was, how long ago. There's just documentation that we have to see. So we have all those pages included in that. Any properties that you own that are, when we pull your credit, it'll show, whether you have a mortgage on something. So we need mortgage statements, recent mortgage statements, not mortgage statement from January of last year. We need a recent one.
Right.
So that we can show what your current balance is, whether your loan is being escrowed, and what your balance is, and just all kinds of good information exists for us on that mortgage statement.
And, the funny thing when it comes to documentation, too, is, in particular, so many people pay for things online, and, either the ones that come in the mail, either they don't get them anymore or they just throw them away. But, this is when we say, you're going to have to put on your big boy and big girl pants because you have to act like an adult, because I need some documentation.
Right. This is an adult situation here.
Yes, an adult situation. So if you haven't kept good files in the past, maybe this is, something for you to say, hey, you know what, maybe I should start keeping files. You know what? Because, guess what? If your hard drive crashes, your computer crashes, or, your online account gets hacked, whatever the case is, you have no paper backups.
Right.
We don't want to keep paper forever, but for quite a while, you need to keep it and then, shred it and then, keep it the next 5 years, whatever the case may be. General rule of thumb, is 7 years, and that's, business accounting practices. 7 to 10 years. But
we're, end of the year, here we are. I know everyone is busy. We all have stuff to do, but you kind of, just like you said, you need to have files set up with this information so that you can just pull it out. And this is a great time of year for you to do that.
Right.
To go back and review, hey, what were my taxes last year versus what my taxes are this year? Most people's taxes went up. So look at the different documentation. Print it out, look at it, and determine where you are and what you want to do. It may be such that if you pull out your documentation from the current home that you're in, maybe then you decide, I want a different house. Either this one's too big or this one's too small or whatever the case may be there.
Right, exactly, for sure.
Okay, so if there's child support, I need documentation on the child support. If you pay it, I need to see the court order showing how much you owe. If you receive it, I need the court order showing how much you're going to receive so that we can use that as income, because you have to receive it for a certain period of time before I can use it. So don't, you just tell me you received child support. That doesn't work. I've got to document it.
Right.
Everything that goes on our application, we have to document.
Right. You've got to prove it all.
We have to prove it all. Another thing that I want to talk about, and then I don't know how much time we have, Mike, but your assets, your bank statements. Let's talk about bank statements for a minute. Okay, when you purchase a house, I have to show my underwriter 2 months bank statements, what you've done for the last 2 months. And she's going to look at those. We're going to look at the deposits that are going into those bank statements. So ran across this a couple of times this week. People had mattress money. They saved money at home. Yeah. Who does that anymore? Who does that? But anyway.
It is. Yeah, it is rare. It absolutely is rare.
Right. So take the money to the bank, put it in the bank, and then we can look at purchasing 2 months later,
right?
If that be the case. But we have to source any large deposits going into an account.
Right.
So let's make sure that we look through the bank statements.
Yep. We
need all pages of the bank statements. And this is a goofy one, and it kind of irritates. I can hear it in the voice of my customer that they're irritated. When your bank statement says page 1 of 8, and the 8th page has just across it, this page left blank intentionally, I need that page too.
Still have to have it.
Still have to have that page.
I know.
Because, if you show an underwriter page 1 through 7 of an 8-page document, she's, what's on that 8th page they're not showing me? So that's why we have to have it.
That's right. There's that one line that says intentionally left blank, and we have to see it.
And that brings up a good point. Why do they have that page in there if it's intentionally left blank?
I would like to know.
Let's find that out.
We need to figure that out. Because it's ticking everybody off.
Yes, it is. It's making me look bad.
Exactly.
Okay, so 401ks, we have to do all of that. We just have to show all the documentation on all those.
Right. Well, and going back to what you were saying about mattress money, if you are going to be planning to buy a house and you are, someone who, diversifies, let's say, hey, a lot of people, put money, away in a lockbox, safe deposit box, right. Silver, gold, those types of assets. If you got scared, with having your money in the bank for whatever reason, and there are a lot of folks out there have done that,
right,
over the last 5 years, and, traditionally, particularly foreign nationals, or new citizens that have come here.
Right.
They've come from countries, many of these people who've come from these countries and have thought, that banking's not safe because it's not safe in their country.
In their country, correct.
And so they've, somehow figured a way to get their money here, and it is mattress money here. And so if you're in that ballpark, if you're in that case, we'll figure it out. Talk to Terri, but to get a traditional loan here, in the good old US of A, it's paperwork, and trail of where the cash flow was. So we'll figure out how to help you, and how long it's going to take after to get that money in.
Right.
Because if I have, we've had clients that have like, hey, it's mattress money.
Right.
And like, okay, well, we've got to figure out how to get that money into the bank.
And that's another point on why it's so important to contact me before you want to buy.
Right.
So that we can structure how we need to set your loan up, because it's not that we can't, but typically it's not a good idea to call me a week before you want to put a contract on a home.
Right.
There's documentation that we need to look at. There's scenarios we need to go through. There may be credit that we need to repair. So it's always a good idea. If you are considering purchasing in the next 6 months or so, go ahead and give me a call. Let's look at credit. Let's look at your documentation. Let's make sure that everything is lined out. We plan for everything else. Why don't we plan for buying our house?
It really does amaze me. I mean, people, they put more time and effort into, the smallest of things,
right.
Which Groupon deal to buy, that, which Travelocity deal to buy versus, actually buying a house. And
right.
They look at it as it's the largest asset you're going to buy or sell.
Right.
In most people's lives, but they don't want to put the time and effort into it. And, understand, like, hey, put those big boy and big girl pants on now.
And this is something that you're only going to do a few times in your life. So that's why you need to work with professionals, truly, and make sure that you're dealing with someone that knows what they're doing and can lead you in the right direction. And not only lead you in the right direction, but explain to you why they're taking the avenue that they're taking.
Right.
I hear that a lot. Thank you so much for explaining this process to me. The last guy that I talked to didn't explain any of this.
Right.
So it's important not only for you to know that I need this, but it's important for you to know why I need this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So
because it's complicated. A lot of documents are needed,
mm-hmm.
and everybody's situation is different, and you're going to fall into a different boat. And people do fall into the trap of, well, my friend got this.
Right.
Well, does your friend have $500,000, liquid in the bank right now and a 750 credit score?
Right.
Well, and you have a 620, and you've got $50 in the bank.
Right.
Different story,
right.
and at the end of the day, nobody knows the financial situation of their colleagues, of their friends, or even their family members. So when you're talking about, oh, well, I got this interest rate, or I did this, or I did that, every situation is totally different,
mm-hmm.
And same goes when you're negotiating for real estate. If you bought a house down in Cedar Hill, you're going to get anything and everything you want because those houses aren't flying off the market.
Mm-hmm.
You want to buy something over in, Uptown or Plano or Frisco, you're going to pay above list price. I was doing comps on a house up in Frisco recently. There was a house that went $40,000 over list. There was a house that went $20,000 over list.
What's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? It depends everywhere.
What the need was.
Exactly, and demand. So totally different. Different for everybody.
Yep.
All right, well, good stuff. Well, folks, hey, don't forget, catch up with Terri Wagner for all of your mortgage needs, cash out, Texas cash out needs, your refinance needs, anything and everything. Catch up with Terri Wagner, her website, terriwagner.com, terriwagner.com. And, hey, folks, we're going to take a short break. We're coming back with our entertainment segment. We've got James Rollins, New York Times bestselling author, coming on the show. Stay tuned. See you in a few.